Hello, everybody. Dark mode enabled. Welcome to Dark Mode Selling Smart and Jane Clark. I'm super excited about this because literally people could be listening to us right now on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Amazon Music because we are now a podcast.
Yay!
Yay! Round of applause. I don't have that.
I'm actually really psyched about this. Only because I'm a perennial type of girl. I like to be able to reuse things, and so
you're a repurposing girly. Yes, I love that. I love a good repurpose. That's amazing. Well, this is Dark Mode. Dark Mode came out of just our love of dark aesthetic and our work in digital marketing. So bringing the two together, I mean, it kind of seemed like it was supposed to be a little bit.
I think so too. Like, we get along famously, and there's just so much overlap in what we do and lots in common. So
I know. Plus, we're like right around the corner from each other, literally.
Yeah, right around the corner. We are there.
Like, I might, Jane, like this might have to turn into, so you know, you were in my podcast studio, the Into the Black podcast. I don't know. I might have to like get a sign that we could switch out and be like, this is Dark Mode, and you can come over and record Dark Mode every week.
I know.
That would be fun. That would be lots of fun. Maybe we'll do that like once a month because week is a lot. Weekly is a lot to make sure you look zhuzhed up and good to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jane, since this is our first official podcast episode, can you, I don't know, just introduce yourself, I guess, and let the peoples know what is up.
Hey, I'm Jane Clark, and I'm the CEO of Brand Swan, and I create brands and campaigns that people flock to, theoretically. But yeah, Brand Swan, it's a web branding and marketing company, and I have a great team. They're super talented.
And what is your favorite thing to create? I know you love WordPress website design, but I know you're also getting to the branding side of things. So, I mean,
yeah, brand strategy and brand marketing are my jam. I just love it so much.
Yes. I love that. And I love you. That's why we're here. That's why we created Dark Mode, so we can like hang out together and talk nerdy to one another.
Speaking of talking nerdy, Heather, tell us about you.
Oh, yes. Hi, I'm Heather Cox. I am the owner of Heather Cox Codes. I have been in business as long as Jane. Literally, Jane was my like inspiration throughout my first brand, but we've been kind of like parallel lives in the same city. It's hilarious. But I've been, doing this for 15 years. WordPress website design, social media management, and strategy is my jam right now. I also love content creation. I am also the host of a podcast that I mentioned, Into the Black, where we go into the space between the ones and zeros on every topic. It's a podcast about everything and nothing all at the same time. And I'm just super stoked to finally have Dark Mode audio in the podcast realm. So this is just going to be so much fun. So I know we have our show notes, Miss Jane. So we usually start off with this segment. We talk about Dark Mode enabled, what we're talking about today. So what are we talking about today, actually?
Selling smart, which is really timely because that is what I'm doing in my coaching. And so things are super fresh and top of mind right now. And so hopefully I can give you guys some tips that you can take away and, put in action.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And the topic of selling is always top of mind for a lot of people, especially in the social media and digital marketing, because that's what we're doing. We're literally trying to sell ourselves, sell our product, sell our service, sell attention. You know what I mean? So that's a whole other thing that I think we should talk about, attention, because that is the new currency, is attention, right? So, I'm really excited to get into this conversation, but we usually do a catching up with Cox and Clark. We need like a little jingle. Catching up with Cox and Clark, like something.
I did this at the end of Brand Swan videos.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, it's like a Netflix bring or whatever the heck that they do.
Exactly. I'm like, I want a sound that makes so much sense. There's a bird chirping. I want them to think about it.
So I can ask my sister. My sister is she has a recording studio called Mockingbird Studios, and she's a singer. I'm gonna have her do our Cox and Clark jingle.
I didn't even know you had a sister.
Oh, I have 2 sisters. I'll tell you more about them later.
I have sisters as well.
No, stop it. Okay, see, this is what happens. We just learn. You learn something new every day. So, Miss Jane, Miss Clark, catching up with Cox and Clark. What's going on in your world right now?
Coaching. Honestly, the coaching has been really phenomenal. So yesterday was my birthday weekend, so I'm looking forward with you all.
Yeah.
We went to the Fairy Festival. It was raining and freezing, but it was so enjoyable. People came out for me, my sister, my niece and nephew. Kelsey came, of course, my husband. He looked awesome. We dressed up, of course, got to commit. And it was nice that, I got out of the house, which is always a challenge for me because I love being home. It's comfortable. I got good food in the house,
You're a Taurus, right?
I am a Taurus.
Yeah. We love our comforts.
We love our comforts.
So what else?
Gosh, I would just say we went to the awards ceremony. It was awesome. There's also a lot of kids like high school and college who got recognized, and that was really special to see that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because they also said like judge comments right there about their work and how good it was, and one of them actually got told that he won nationals, and he just stood there. He didn't know what to do.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it just reminded me, because a lot of the DPA, does a lot of journalism and not just visual communications. And, I wanted to be a writer when I was a kid. I remember even getting an award once for an article I wrote, how to cope with the death of a loved one.
Wow.
And
how old were you when you
wrote that? I was probably 16.
Oh, wow.
15, 16.
That's
and
amazing.
I remember because my parents, we moved to Maryland in the middle of my junior year of high school. And the fact that I won an award at William Penn, where I was before, and going back there was interesting. But yeah, so I went, I got my award, I don't know what the hell it is, and wrote a history.
Dude, that is awesome. And then I see here you have a new homepage design. Is that true?
I do. I'm almost done. I'm working with the messaging. Yeah, I'm really bringing back the Ugly Duckling story reference and talking about, just getting people where they need to be, and the journey that takes. So I'm hoping it resonates with a lot of people. Fingers crossed.
I think
it will. Definitely send you your feedback.
Yes, please do, because I love looking at your stuff, because it's always amazing.
It tells us out, I mean, I've got great clients, and luckily they all have great taste, so I can show a lot of the work.
I love that. Oh my gosh. So with
you, darling.
Yes, ma'am. I am so excited. I finally am in the final editing stages of my book called The Connected Kid. That is basically a guide for parents to help parents understand the digital landscape and the world of the internet that we live in, from parental controls on social media to parental controls on Roblox and Minecraft and Among Us, and how to set up parental controls on different devices, like from an iOS to a Windows to a Mac. There's information about two-factor authentication in there. There's a whole entire chapter of just checklists, just like going down the list of like, check, I did this, check, okay, I know how to go to the parental controls in TikTok and set those up. So, I'm really super stoked. I found a platform that's able to distribute it. So just, yay.
I know how that goes, because I have it up in a tab, one of many resource tabs. Kelsey will understand what I'm talking about. She's like, the tab queen, refuses to close anything because you might need to go back to it.
That's when you just save it to your bookmarks, though. You're like, okay, I'm going to check on this later. But then, like, when you go back to your bookmarks, it's like, there's like 200 in there. Yeah. And you're like, where did I put that?
So far down. Yeah, so honestly, I have given up being organized. Like, I'm doing my emotional support tabs.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what's the struggle with parents, I believe, with the digital age and like, with the online world, is being organized, and there's so many things going on. It's hard to even know where to start. Like, you get a new phone for a kid, you think that there's parental controls on it, but come to find out they can get onto the Safari browser and go watch YouTube, even though you don't let them download the YouTube app. So it's like, there's so many different avenues in which kids can get connected. And so I just want to have that book and have that available to people, essentially, to safeguard their kids online. Cause let me tell you, 6th grade, I saw some shit. Because that's when everybody got online. AOL AIM chat rooms, like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I shouldn't have seen what I saw. I was also groomed as a 13-year-old by an 18-year-old. So, like, for years, and like, yeah, so like, it happens. And so, like, I just want to protect other people. So, yeah, the book is almost done. Jane, I'm going to send it to you so you can proofread it for me.
Oh my God.
But just read it also, because there is, like, stuff in there about Twitch. Because I know you use Twitch and stuff, I believe, right?
Yeah, I mean, not like, well, that's a whole new freaking thing. I mean, I'm like, good OnlyFans, keep Twitch as it is, for the love of God, like.
You just brought up a very good point. I need to put a section in about apps to look out for.
Yeah.
So, like, those apps where, like, it's a calculator, but it's not really a calculator. It's like a fake folder to keep content in. That's a section that I need to add. So thank you. See, a light bulb moment here on your
and this is actually kind of personal. This is personal to me too, because, I'm not sure if I told you, but I wrote a story for, the book, from the Great Games. And it's about women who have transformed their life somehow, usually from something terrible that happened, and the takeaway from it, and it's pretty wild. Now, but my story was specifically about how I was stalked, and it all started with online chat. And so I feel like I could really, maybe that's another topic we do, but
that would be a really good topic. I would love to do that topic on dark mode and Into the Black. I would, love to have, you come back on and we can actually talk about that specific topic, since both of us have experience stalking and grooming online. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But anyway, let's bring it back up from that really shitty topic, because it is a shitty topic. You know what I mean? Like, like literally safeguarding our kids and us, like, going through that. So yeah, it's not fun, but that's what we're doing, and that's what we're being raw and authentic here on Dark Mode. And that's why I just, like, super appreciate this space. And that's why we're also recording it and turning it into a podcast. So look out for that.
Yeah.
Super excited, Jane.
I've got some fun news to share, but let's get into tips and tricks.
All right. And girl, I see you have, oh my God, I'm so excited because I'm reading, because we have our dark mode notes here together. And I was reading through yours and I can't wait for you to get into it. So go for it.
For anyone who can't remember shit, I'm your girl. Okay. I'm representing all of you people because I have to put my notes pretty, more than most people, so that I don't lose track of what I'm trying to say. But there's a lot of ways to sell, and I think a lot of us are like, "Ooh, I don't want to do that." And I spend most of my business doing what's called like attraction marketing, basically. So I wanted people to come to me. My vision was to be like a sought after, agency, and just walking through like how I did it. But you have the ick factor, and I've always been the worst salesperson ever. And people are like, no, that's what makes you great. And so being yourself is really key, because people like to work with people they like, and if they have good vibes from you, you have stuff in common, they feel seen and heard. That's what's going to make the sale. This isn't about manipulating people. It's about being hyper aware of where people are in their journey and how to, and if you're a good fit, being a little bit more persuasive. And most of the time, you don't really have to beg people to come to work for you. You just have to make them feel, wow, this is what I need right now. This is perfect. And so you're going to have to take risks and get specific. You're going to alienate some people. You are. Because what's going to make your sales is going really far down into who your target market is. What are their problems? And based on that is how you talk with them, and give them what they need. So what we like to do is like templatize a process. Because, Heather, like RFPs, can get pretty crazy.
Yes, they can.
Like pages and pages. So what I do is I have like this master Google slide template that has literally everything anyone has ever asked for a freaking proposal. Team bios, business license information, like the whole thing. And then what I do is I strip it down based on what someone actually needs. And then I have two other templates. The other template is a pricing sheet that I drag in based on what they want. And the second one is a case study document with like portfolio examples and like what we did. I drop that in based on what they're looking for to show that we're the right person for the job. And normally that can take days and days, but by templatizing the process, you really make the sales process less daunting.
Yeah. That's actually, because I'm thinking about it in my own brain, in my own business. And what did you call that? Templatize
Yeah.
process?
Templatize the process. Yeah.
Never heard it put that way, but when I think about it, it's like, yeah, it's like, it's easier to sell something over and over and over again if you have that template in place instead of having to recreate the wheel every freaking time.
Yeah. So that's really helped us. And I think there are two things that I've learned that actually kind of help you in this process for the RFP process. And we'll talk about other sales processes.
Now, what is RFP? For those who are listening, what is RFP and what does that mean?
Yeah, request for proposal or request for quote. Usually you get a long document that says, here's what we're looking for. And they ask for information. And based on that, they pick who they're going to do. Who they're going to pick, rather, what kind of work they're going to do. So the biggest thing for me is making sure you ask the right questions and doing a little bit of homework. I always ask why I didn't get something, and I have several phrases of feedback, if you will. The first one was too much information, I can't decide. So that told us, wow, maybe we're being too wordy in our proposal. Maybe it needs to be more, softer for the non-technical person. Maybe it's just, maybe that's it. I've also gotten that it's too long. I've gotten that's too short. I've gotten, the information is in the right order. So you'll find your sweet spot. But whenever you don't get a gig, ask them why. What was a deciding factor? And that just helps you, get better.
Do you really ask? You're like, why didn't you, ma'am, have the balls? I could never, like, if I don't get picked, like, I just don't hear from them or like whatever. And then it's like, I'm like, okay, well, sure, whatever. On to the next one. Like, I love that you like go in and you're like, so why didn't I get this? And how could I improve on the next one? Like, I love that you like have the balls to do that because I don't.
It sucks. I mean, but the more you know,
that's true.
That sound.
The more you know.
The more you know. But yeah, and sometimes it's one person was rather harsh with her comments. I remember who got it. I remember everything, and she said, quite frankly, the other company just did their homework. Yikes. For a discovery call. So that told me that I needed to do more research on my clients so that I knew a bit more about them upon meeting versus just meeting. Because I don't like to do work for free. And so I'm like, oh, if I'm doing all this research, I haven't even gotten a client yet. Because the research is part of our process when you sign up with us. So I'm on the fence about giving that away versus, encouraging them to sign up and getting that.
Right.
Wow. But asking questions, asking the right questions is super important. And because being resourceful, using words that they use in their industry, they're going to think that you're going to know their industry inside and out, and therefore they feel more confident that you're going to give them the right product. So they definitely expect us to do the research. And if you hear yourself, and listen, I have to say this to myself all the time, but if you are hearing yourself talking more than the client, shut the hell up. And Dr. Phil would say, you've got 2 ears for a reason. No. But yeah, listen, analyze. what are their issues and problems, and recite it back to them. Kelsey, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like, your website is too big and things are outdated and you need a better way. And based off of, taking that jargon and, using it in people voice, colloquial, if you will, it's just people will be drawn to you. So help them with their issues or problems and try to solve them. And sharing behind the scenes and more about your process and your story are pretty important too. The data says otherwise, Heather, don't talk about yourself. What was it, 30 to 70% they recommended? 30% you talk about you, 70% you talk about the community, other people, sharing resources. But the data shows that we know about people. When we see a picture of someone, because sometimes you see on LinkedIn, people just post a picture.
I did that the other day.
And people are like, love it.
Yes.
They want to know you. And so if you don't have an about page right now, you're losing traffic. Because our about page, and Kelsey, correct me if I'm wrong, there might be one above this, but is our most visited page. And we don't link to it. We don't really link to it. So that's how people research you as well. So give them enough information where they can love you, and so just be yourself. And that's how you go back.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to stay consistent when you're pretending. It really is.
Self-fulfilling prophecy is what I used to live on my entire career. I'm like, you know what? I'm not good yet, but I will be. So I may as well act like I'm good.
That's right. Fake it till you make it. It's that Taylor Swift song. I could do it with a broken heart. Like I played it for the other day. I think before our last dark mode. It was like she's like, I'm a real tough kid. I can handle my shit. Like I've been told to fake it till I make it, and I did. Like what? Like yes, you have to fake it till you make it sometimes.
You made it. It was a non-dominated industry back then. Probably still now. Probably still non-dominated actually.
Oh, 100%. But we tend to find out we usually tend to gravitate to the other women, the women web designers out there. We always do.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta support one another. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I look back at like a timeline of like women's suffrage and when we could vote and when we could get our credit card and shit. I'm shocked as hell when all this took place.
I mean, I literally within my TEDx talk, I know we're getting off the subject, but in my TEDx talk, I literally stated, and I said that in 1989, the Women's Ownership Act was signed that allowed women to get a loan without a male cosigner. And it's like literally, I was 4 years old, and my mom couldn't get a loan without my dad cosigning at that point. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow. Like, okay. That's, again, another episode of Dark Mode that we could go into. Women in business, women developers, women web designers, the whole genre. But yeah, so I see right here that you have the Indeed career advice, attraction marketing.
Oh yeah, I love Googling shit. And then
you do, I know.
Right,
but it's all beneficial to us.
Oh heck yeah! I mean, right now I'm like on the STEM rush, which honestly they've been around a long time. Forever.
Shout out to SEM Rush.
Yeah, SEM Rush. But let's talk about 10 tips to improve your content. Okay, so how do people find us? They find us through search engines. They find us through a direct referral. Right? So if someone has a business card and they type in, they type in your URL, they go there, or if they click a link, like Google Translate, all that stuff. But find the right keywords, because you might be using one term, but your audience is actually using another term, and you don't even know you're saying the same shit. Right? Yeah. So making sure you're using the right words is actually important. And when I was going through my coaching, like, I don't need messaging. I'm a brand strategist. But when you talk with someone, you tell them what you do, you can tell on their face if they have no freaking clue, right? So if I say, hey, I'm a graphic designer, everyone knows what the hell that means. But if I'm like, yeah, I'm a chief creative officer, they're like, what do you do? Right? What is that? So I'm finally just going to commit to CEO instead of whatever. But that's a whole other topic.
Oh, I get it. So like instead of being creative in your title, you're kind of like make sure that it's like more broader for people to understand, which is smart because that's also a selling, like you said, like the right messaging, the right people. Like you got to talk to the right people, and if you don't have your messaging down, so I get that. Yes, you're a CEO, ma'am. You're not just a chief creative officer. CCO, chief creative officer, CCO. I mean, you could say CEO and CCO. And then people will know the CEO, but then ask you about the CCO, and then you can expand on your services when people inquire. Just saying.
That is very true.
Just thinking.
Very nice.
Thinking out loud. Okay.
No, that's a great content tip, honestly. And you can also put it in your LinkedIn headline, too.
That'd be
you have a decent one. Mine's really short. I would say I create brands and campaigns people flock to. I guess I could say more than that, but I was like sort of doing an experiment to see how complicated I can.
Oh, I maxed out that LinkedIn title, that LinkedIn bio section, let me tell you. It is maxed out. I will have to delete stuff to just make it all fit, but, SEO, it's maxed out.
Identify and satisfy search intent.
That's right.
That's quite a technical way of saying that, but keywords and the right ones. And honestly, I learned something new, which I do every day, even though I'm like, I'm an SEO strategist, I can possibly learn myself. And it turns out that the algorithms are a little bit more lenient on whether key phrases are in consecutive order. So long as the key phrases are somewhat close to one another, it doesn't penalize you. So that is cool because, we're a donut design company. Come visit us as a donut design company. There's Delaware,
For Delaware clients, you know what I mean? Like, and have Delaware in there like 3 times.
Yeah, and when I was doing SEO and getting leads from I think
Are you alive? Hello? Oh no, Jane got a phone call. Either Jane got a phone call or her mic went out. But let me reset the room while she is waiting or on the phone or whatever she is doing. My name is Heather Cox. We're here in Dark Mode selling smart. And this, if you are listening, we do this every Thursday live at 11 a.m. EST. Every Thursday here on LinkedIn. Are you back? Oh my gosh.
I'm going to say something amazing.
I was just resetting the room for those who are listening live here on LinkedIn, but also listening on our podcast. We are now available on our podcast, Dark Mode with Jane Clark and Heather Cox. It is now a podcast, which is crazy. We've been doing Dark Mode for how long? How many months now? A couple months. 3 or 4 months. Every Thursday almost here on LinkedIn Live. So you can literally come here to Dark Mode, LinkedIn Live, 11 a.m. EST, every Thursday, and you can interact with us and even get on the podcast. So come on in, hang out. But if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music, thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully you'll be able to see us on YouTube as well, Miss Jane, because I might turn this into a video podcast as well through the use of a typography video. So it won't have our faces. It'll just be a faceless YouTube channel, which is all the rage right now. So thanks.
Faceless YouTube channel.
Faceless?
No.
YouTube
Are we going to have like crazy amounts and we just pretend and people won't know our real identity?
Oh my gosh. No, we literally could just like put our faces like on an image and then put like, you know, that voice moving bar that you see sometimes on like podcasts, and then have the captions or the text of what we're saying.
I like it.
Boom.
I love it.
Faceless. We don't even have to like look pretty every time. I mean, that's the thing with Into the Black. I gotta look good when I'm on the camera. But right now, you know, girl, I am in a hoodie with my hair up in a bun with my, you know what I mean? But okay, so what were you going to say?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so
before we lost you to the Matrix.
The right keywords would be good. Right now I'm like chained to my desk. Because I have a cord and I'm like, oh man. So there's two tools that I think are really good for this. The first one is I just learned about called Uber Suggest. You can add it as a browser extension. And when you go to Google and you're doing searches, it gives you all this information about the search, including, let's see here, Uber Suggest.
If you're listening to this on the podcast, she is literally looking it up in real time with her computer. You can probably hear her clickety-clack of the keyboard.
Yeah. So it lets you know, you know who owns this? Neil Patel. Oh, not Sean Neil Patel.
Neil Patel.
Strategist for 500 years. Absolutely. But it will help you with like the high value keywords, you know, tracking the rankings. It lets you know what your competitors are doing, and just like the audits and the recommendations. So it's really cool and it's free. So if you want to take a look at what your competitors are doing, get that information, do it. It's really cool.
And what is that link? What is that link?
Uber Suggest. Uber Suggest. Now I use it for Chrome.
Okay.
But if you type in Uber Suggest, all one word,
right?
UBER Suggest, you'll be able to discover those keywords.
Very awesome. And you know, SEO.
Search volume is a big one.
So keywords, SEO, search engine optimization, even social media search engine optimization with keywords are beneficial to selling because then people can find you and then purchase your product or your service or whatever you are offering. So that's why SEO is super important, especially keywords.
Yeah. Especially, and the more narrow you can make it, the better because you're going to find exactly the right person. So instead of coming up for coffee or even Columbia coffee, you're going to come up with maybe fair trade coffee. Now you're adding more keywords to it. And now you're targeting people who care specifically about your vision and mission. And so not just for you. It's evangelists forever.
Nice. Yes. Yeah.
All right. So the keyword gap tool. And again, that's sort of what Uber suggested.
And then what was that other tool?
The other tool is Google AdWords Keyword Planner. Now, you don't have to run a Google ad, but that's where the tool is.
Yes.
So, but honestly, I would double check with Uber Suggest because sometimes, you know, you want your sweet spot to be like under 1,000 of people you're targeting. That's how narrow it can be, but you're going to find a person, they're going to think this ad is made for them, and that's how you want them to feel. You want them to have an excitement to know that there's a solution, and and honestly, when you have a solution to someone's problem, a burden lifted from them is immense. And that feeling is what's going to carry you throughout your whole customer journey.
Awesome. I love that. That's so good. Well, those are just awesome, amazing, glorious SEO tips. And Jane knows all about it because she's literally doing it within her business of Brand Swan and also helping clients with it, right? Oh my God, that was clients. I did love.
I love it. I don't know where it's coming from. But yeah, so I just love SEO and but I love it because just go into more about the social media and because I don't think people realize the type of post that really perform well. And I know we've talked a bit about vanity metrics versus the real data, but tell us about it from a social media standpoint.
Yeah, so I mean,
what it looks like.
So it's really changed. before, I mean, when we first started on social media, you could just say, hey, I have a book and I'm selling it. And then everybody was like, yay, I'm going to buy it, because that organic reach was so great, was so easy. And now it's like you are only being shown to 10% of your audience if you are not boosting or posting as an ad at this point. And then I also heard that Instagram is coming out with it's Meta, but tiered verified accounts. So Jane, I know you paid for the Meta Verified over on Facebook. Does that carry over to your Jane Brand Swan account on IG, or does it carry over to Brand Swan on IG?
Well, so the Meta verification is only for personal accounts.
Gotcha.
Right now, I believe.
Okay.
So,
whew, girl, buckle up.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, because I'm like, it's just, they're doing multiple levels now. So it's like the personal, which you have, which gets you access to like, chat for like, what is it?
But you can't talk to them at any business account you might be running. It's only for your personal account, and you have to pay for both Instagram and Facebook, and it's like $10 or $11 per platform. I have to go look.
Yeah. So basically, this is what I've heard, and I've heard on a couple of accounts. So basically, they're thinking of multi-tiered verification, where the lowest one is just the lowest one that everybody has right now. But then they're going to come out with 3 different levels. And literally, some of this is allowing people to put links within reels, like captions. So and it gives you more views and more reach and engagement because you're paying for Meta Verified business account. And people are getting so now, and again, they're just testing this. I don't know where they're testing this, but it's going to change how we are essentially marketing, because now people can pay to play. Instagram and everything is turning into pay to play. And that's going to mean that clients are going to have to pay for Meta Verified to even get reach or engagement, and then also pay for a social media manager. But the game of selling on social has totally changed. You cannot hard sell as much as you can. That you used to. You know what I mean? Before, you used to be able to just say, I'm writing a book, I'm selling a book, here you go. And then people were like, yay, let's buy it. But now it's you literally cannot hard sell to anybody. And but like you were saying, there's that 80-20 rule of, you hard sell for 20%, but then everything else is just education, educational content, how-tos, more giving value. People want value before they pay for something. So, they want to see if your value is worth them paying for first. So, and I feel as though that it has changed a lot, because people used to be able to put out ebooks and put out content, and then people would buy it, and then when they bought it, they were disappointed within the content. They were disappointed with that content. But now it's okay, they're getting smarter. They want to see the value first, and then they'll purchase it for all of the content. And if you guys are hearing that bring, it's just my, my workers messaging me. I put it back on. I put it back on Do Not Disturb because oh my gosh. But just so, I have a few do's and don'ts here, right? So number 1, a couple of these do's. Please do these things on social media, and some of them may be controversial. I like a good pattern interrupt when it comes to selling and social media. So obviously educational content and how-tos, giving that value up front so that it puts the buyer at ease, so they understand what they're getting, so then they feel they can trust you, and then they will buy from you. So I think one of my strategies with my Connected Kid book is I'm going to release one of the checklists as a freebie, and then if they want the rest of the book, then they can purchase the book. I want them to see that they can actually get value. Now this is also, I think, going to change. User-generated content. That's going to change specifically on Instagram, because Instagram just changed their algorithm, and it basically states that if you use UGC and it's been posted before, it's going to give that creator the credit. and it's going to link them essentially over on Instagram. And then if you keep using UGC, kind of like those aggregator accounts and those like, I don't know, Barstool Delaware. I don't know if you see that, like the Barstool accounts. If you continue to aggregate and curate UGC content, they are going to, if you do it, I think it's like 10 times a month, they're going to mute your account from the discoverability page because they want to promote the original creators and not these aggregation accounts, these meme accounts, these whatevers. So that's going to change. So if you do have user-generated content, you need to get that user-generated content first from the influencer before they even post it. Because, especially on Instagram. Because if they post it first and then you post it again, it's going to give them that, sure, that's amazing, they're getting that credit, but it's not directly related to your account. And it's not going to give your account that lift that you wanted with that UGC. So,
how about the reaction videos? Are they going to be impacted a lot?
Oh, I mean, but that's, so like the reaction videos, those are like stitched, quote unquote. So as long as you do like a stitch, then I think that's going to be okay. And I think a stitch or a duet as they call it. So I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think it's just the reposting of the UGC when it's already been posted somewhere else. So, so another one is the interactive content and polls. Obviously that creates interaction with you and your customer. The customer feels involved with your social media, with your progress, with your, strategy, with your services, with your product. You're getting feedback from them and they feel like they're included within your business. So of course they are going to want to buy from you because they feel like that they're involved. That's why I really like commenting and like talking to people because like it involves them within your business and then they feel like they can trust you. They know, like, and trust. And that's all what selling is right now. Know, like, and trust with social proof. That's all it is right now because there are so many people getting scammed. There are so many people getting got out here. There are so many people with all the deep fakes happening. Let me tell you, it's insane. So, and then here's a couple other ones that I want people to try. Challenge your industry norms. And when I say that, like a pattern interrupt. So I worked with Purebred Deli, on their social media for 2 years. And during that time, they did a, magnet competition. And so I ran the magnet competition through social media and all this stuff. And, I wrote the rules and I found the rule and all this stuff. I put it all together. And then we had all these entries and they asked me for my opinion on the entries. And one of the entries really stood out to me because it was a pattern interrupt. They would always do the same type of magnets, like the dog magnets. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that's nice, but there's also dog lovers who also have cats. And so there's this one entry that was like a cat logo thing, and then it says, "We come in peace." And it's like the cats wanting to be friends with the dogs, and that invited people to this dog restaurant who were also cat lovers. So it included that subset, and that's including other people. And it was also a pattern interrupt because nobody would ever expect that Purebred would come out with a cat magnet.
Exactly. I liked it.
So pattern interrupt. So challenge your industry norms, right? Offer also limited time offers that create FOMO. That is why these t-shirt drops and product drops and service drops and VIP days and all of that stuff for social media people and web designers, they create FOMO. People are fear of missing out. They don't want to miss out on that limited time offer, that limited time drop. So think about how you can use that as a way to sell on social. And then polarizing collaborations. I mean literally, I don't know who would be my opposite, but I wear all
Jane
black.
Brand Swan.
I mean,
wearing a pink shirt right now.
Yeah. I guess that is, but at the same time, we both love black clothing, and we both are dark, and we love nerdy shit. But who would be my polar opposite? I don't know. Maybe Paris Hilton? I don't know. But having a polarizing collaboration can really bring in a new audience that you can sell to, but also kind of create that viral moment that people are looking for within selling. But now we are here to talk about the things we do not want to do. when we're selling online. Number one, don't over promote. I'm tired of it. I swear to God. And this is like the biggest thing I tell my clients and past clients, future clients, everybody. Please stop. Like, I love the food pictures, but like, yeah, that's great. You're selling your food, but you're selling your food every day. I want to know about the chef. I want to know about the line cook. I want to know about your employees. I want to know about your cocktails. I want to know when you open. I want to know about like where to park. I want to know about, sure, your specials. I want to know about happy hour. I want to know about like literally everything besides your food at this point, because you have been promoting your food over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Is there a conference room available where people can
exactly right? Like facts, like frequently asked questions or questions that may not have even entered people's brains. That's what you want to give. Avoid ignoring feedback. I mean, if you have people giving you feedback, being like, hey, like, okay, perfect example. On my stories on my Instagram, I asked if I should open a pre-launch to my book, if I should open pre-orders, because on LinkedIn, somebody said that they should be added to the pre-order link. Like, that's a really good idea. So I put a poll on my story and I asked if I should open a pre-order, and 2 people said no. I said, okay, great. I'm not going to do that now. Because they gave me their feedback. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do it. So, you know, just think about, don't ignore people. People, that turns people off. Don't use misleading clickbait. I think that is like the bane of my existence over on Facebook at this point. Please don't use misleading clickbait. I can't even, especially Jane with all of the AI generated Met Gala looks. And having the clickbait, you know, what was it? It's like, oh, Taylor Swift fans were stunned when she showed up at the red carpet for the Met Gala. I'm like, first off, she didn't even attend. So how are you even, you know what I mean? People are getting duped out here. So just...
I'm still trying to figure out if it's real Keanu Reeves or not. Okay, I don't know. It's crazy.
Girl, it's probably not. Let's be real.
It's probably Keanu Reeves deepfake, but I'm like, is he in on it? Like, is this like a huge, you know what I mean?
He would be. I mean, he is the man of the Matrix. Let's be real. Don't stay neutral on every issue. These are things not to do. Don't stay neutral on every issue. And I have a problem with that because like I used to not stay neutral. I used to say my piece everywhere, but it caused a lot of like stalking, which we spoke about earlier. And so, you know, it's just, you know, but if you have the balls, go for it, man. Like say your piece. You know, stand up for what you believe in.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you on that. I think you should make a stand because why not?
Yeah.
If someone doesn't want to work with you because you think, you know, because you're a feminist, then that's their problem.
Exactly. Exactly. And then
you're going to attract the right people.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Because not everybody's going to like you. I mean, come on. We all know this. If everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong. You're being too generic. And then I'll leave you with this. Don't rely solely on automation. Do not do that when you're selling online. I tend to do automation a lot, but I couple it with manually doing shit. So manually do shit as well. You know, couple it. Automation with you actually going in there and manually posting something. So those are my do's and don'ts to selling online through social media. And if anybody else has any, I don't know, selling tips, tricks, whatever, drop them in the comments section. Drop us a line. We're going to be repurposing this across the internet. Listening to us on the podcast, hopefully soon. But anything else you want to leave with in regards to the sales portion of this?
Yeah, there's one thing I learned that people swear by. I've used it, well, I'll tell you, it's called the fingerprinting game I learned from Allison Davies, I believe her name is. And so what happens is, let's say someone says, hey, this is a project scope, can we get a cost? You're like, sure, no problem. And then when you put it all together, don't change on every issue. I'm sorry, I'm reading things.
Oh my gosh, you need to close your browser when we're on this.
I think so. But then, you know, next thing you know, I'll be looking at myself in the camera. Who knows? I'll see something that'll completely rip me out.
Oh my gosh.
But the fingerprint meeting, here's what it is. So after you're done making the proposal, what you do is you go back to the person and say, hey, can I get your eyes on this before I send it out? And so you have another quick meeting, you go through it, and once the person is like, yes, this is good, then you're done. And so now that they've been involved in that process of looking, making sure things sounds good, approving the scope, then that person's going to feel more, closer to your proposal. It's going to feel more in line with what they're looking for. So if you can get them, or at least your contact person, one last ad to resend it, it becomes a collaborative piece.
I like that. That's a good idea.
That would work for you.
You're just full of bright ideas, ma'am. Sometimes. So let's see. Thank you guys for being here, listening to us about selling smart here on Dark Mode every Thursday here on LinkedIn Live, 11 a.m. EST. If you're listening on to our podcast, Dark Mode, our live, I don't even know, the live podcast. Dark Mode, the live podcast. I think that's what we're calling it. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music, thank you for joining us. And we're hopefully going to drop one. I kind of want to get a few in the can, but we can drop one or two.
I think the next meeting is going to be about loyalty linchpin.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. And what are we talking about in regards to that? Is that breeding loyalty online?
Yeah, brand loyalty and your favorite social proof.
Yes. Oh. That's going to be such a good conversation. I cannot wait. And that's why I'm like, I want to get this podcast up ASAP. Like, I'm already in my RSS.com. I'm switching it over to a network one. I'm going to add the podcast. We're going to get this shit up. Maybe up to, who knows?
This is cool. I'm really glad that people have an opportunity to tune in even if they couldn't make it today. So
exactly. Yes.
For doing this.
And plus, we dropped so much gold in this room. And I don't want it to go to waste anymore. I mean, like, it would have been nice if Clubhouse wasn't so whack. And we were able to record over there and download and, repurpose. But, LinkedIn, I think, is the jam. Because especially with the LinkedIn audio. Thank you, LinkedIn audio, for showing up in our lives. Because I really do enjoy it. Oh, I saw that you had something here in regards to news of the day, because now we are in our news notification segment of Dark Mode. So tell me about this news, man.
All right, I'm gonna come clean because I love Kristen Stewart. I've never had before, but I was like impressed how she reinvented herself. I'm impressed with a lot of people. But I thought this was the best news ever, and I'm so here for it. I'm so freaking excited. Okay?
She is banging on the table. She is so excited.
Oscar Isaac and Kristen Stewart will play a married couple who descend each evening from their luxury skyscraper condo and head into an electric nighttime realm of 80s LA in the vampire thriller Flesh of the Gold.
Oh my gosh. That's your news.
Yeah. That's it. I can't wait. I'm ready for it. It's gonna be awesome.
Dude, that is so great.
Kristen Stewart, another vampire movie, please. Yes.
Oh, that's true. It is kind of her thing. It's kind of her thing. Oh, it's so funny.
And they're... and the last bit of news I have is called Monsters Be Gone. Toddler's claim of monster in the wall turns out to be 50,000 bees.
Oh my gosh, no way.
And guess what's even more hilarious is that I'm getting retargeted by an app for designer, which you introduced me to. And you introduced me to that on Dark Social, and still it knows. And
that is so funny. Well, retargeting. Actually, speaking of the retargeting, because this relates to sales, Google is pushing back its cookies thing for, I think, until 2025 now. So, because they were going to get rid of cookies, do the whole like sandbox thing, and do had this whole thing, and now they're being pushed back to 2025. So, I mean, that's good for us web designers, SEO, social media, ad managers. We don't have to worry about that, but it is coming in 2025. So, stay tuned.
Google has so much power, and that's another thing. I think that maybe that's a topic, but. The dark side of these monopoly companies.
Yes, that's another conversation that we can have. Yes.
All right, put that on the list.
Put that on the list. All right. Well, we are at the end of Dark Mode. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Heather Cox. Who am I? And guys, join us next Thursday. If you want to join us, we are here every Thursday at 11 a.m. EST on LinkedIn Live. Join us, hang out. You can even get on the podcast. And again, join us next Thursday. You ready, Jane? You ready for the official sign off of our first podcast?
Signing off.
Dark mode disabled. Bye, guys.